isn't done. This team is not going to be denied.
Energy all day! Energy all day!
Nick Bolton makes the hit. It's intercepted by Brian Cook. It's Mahomes gunning it low. Caught!
Chiefs dropped another close one last week, falling to the Cowboys on Thanksgiving. But we're still alive in this thing. It's just a matter of taking one game at a time, and that mission begins back here at home on Sunday Night Football. We are 2 hours from kickoff. You've waited all week for this very moment. It's finally here. It is time for football in Chiefs Kingdom. Let's do this. My name is Matt McMullen, joined by voice of the Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. This is Field Pass, presented by StorageMart. And Mitch, here we go. Big one here tonight.
December football. I wish I could. On radio, I'll give you the, I'm going to do the John Vicenda voice, right? December football. But it's December Sunday Night Football, December desperate Sunday Night Football against two teams that have to win or need to win. And so that's the stage tonight, and here we are. But the Chiefs, Andy Reid is 40-12, I should say, in December as the head coach of the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes is 25-6. In December as the QB1, so let's go.
Let's add to those figures right there. Won't be easy, though. This Texans team's playing good football right now. And what a turnaround for these guys. They began the year 0-3 before winning 7 of their next 9 games, and that's due in large part to their defense. This is the best scoring and total defense in the NFL. What stands out to you about this Houston defense?
Comprehensive. We see some the best defense in the league, and Denver fans will get mad. So Denver's 1A. But Denver's got a few holes in the secondary that the Texans don't have. You cannot find a weakness in the Houston defense. And so now we'll talk about them in total here in a minute. But this is a extremely good defense. They've been consistent all along. Even when the offense was struggling, they started 0-3. They're trying to become the first team ever in NFL history to make the playoffs twice with an 0-3 start. It's never happened. But the defense has been constant and excellent all year.
Yeah, they have playmakers at all 3 levels. Really begins with their pass rush, though. They have maybe the best tandem of edge rushers in the NFL with Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter. They're the only pair of teammates across the NFL to each have double-digit sacks this year. How can we slow these guys down here tonight?
Whew. Well, that's $1 million question.
Yep, that's it.
Especially when you're going to be having Wanya Morris at left tackle and Jalen Moore at right tackle. You've got to be really creative. And you've got to be so precise. And you have to max protect some. This is not a night necessarily for getting 5 out on the route. This is where the creativity of the entire offensive staff, and being creative doesn't mean you said, hey, everybody go to the fire hydrant and try to catch the pass and blow on a bomb. You'll take shots, but you've got to be really careful with every play call in this game, especially with the protection call. But you got to be ready for some 2- and 3-man routes, and you got to make them work.
Yeah, these guys are game wreckers up front. Look a few weeks ago against the Bills. Houston combined for 8 sacks on Josh Allen in that game. Can't let that happen, obviously. But as you mentioned, they're more than just their pass rush. Their secondary is very impressive as well. Well,
back to that Buffalo game, I was astonished. It's like the emoji, like I'm big eyes, because Deion Dawkins, I respect. He's a Pro Bowler. He got embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I like Spencer Lennox ever since the draft when he came out. Lennox, Iowa, Spencer Brown out of Lennox, Iowa. But their secondary, and this is something I talked to our offensive staff about. You think about contested catches. To me, that's if you throw a jump ball and you and I are fighting for a high point of ball. This is a tight window catch game, meaning either by quick design you have a fraction of a second that you're open, or they'll let you think you're open, and then they close the gap so fast. So these Chiefs receivers tonight must make tight window catches, because we know Pat can make a tight window throw. That means you got to be tough, and if you're open, you're only going to be open for a fraction of a second. Go get the ball, meet the ball, and make a tight window catch.
Sure. We could do a whole pregame show on how good this defense is. It's the best defense in football. They've allowed 20 or more points just 3 times all season, easily the fewest of any team in the NFL. The Chiefs do have history on their side, though, tonight. That's because Patrick Mahomes is 5-1 in his career when he's facing either the league's #1 total or scoring defense. Pretty impressive. This will also be the 3rd time that he faces a team that has both of those things. So a team that has the #1 total and scoring defense. He's 2-0 in those games. He beat the Ravens back in 2018 and the Bills in the 2021 playoffs. Beyond the obvious of Patrick just being really good at football, how do you explain his success in these kinds of games?
We'll take that stat, put a mixing bowl out, and then mix in a couple of other things. Already mentioned his December stats because he knows the urgency. December is an animal all by itself. Add this one. Last week against the Cowboys, he had 4 touchdowns and no picks. That's happened 12 times in his career. The week after that, he's 10-2 in those games. So you take the fact when he gets hot, he stays hot. It's December football, and the stat you just made, when he plays the number 1 scoring or total defense, his awareness just goes up the chart. Put all that in a mixing bowl and let 15 mix it up.
You mentioned the 4 touchdown passes last week, had a passer rating of 130. He was awesome. The stat that really jumps out, though, is the Chiefs.
How'd we lose that game?
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking about the same thing. Another 1-score loss by the Chiefs. But we were 3 for 3 in the red zone last week in terms of scoring touchdowns. That's a big deal because consider the 2 weeks prior, we were 2 for 10 in the red zone in terms of scoring touchdowns. Against a defense like this, we got to finish in the red zone here tonight.
No argument there. In fact, in those weeks 4 through 8, when we went on a tear, we were the best red zone team in the league. Like, it was no problem. We're going to get 7s and not 3s or 0s, and we've had some 0s.
Yep.
You cannot have red zone 0s tonight. It just cannot happen, and it's preferable not to have red zone 3s. If you get a chance to score, score. I'll let you give the stat on their red zone defense. It's the only C grade they have on a grade card full of A's. But there's also a caveat I know you'll give on there because it's a little bit of a misleading stat. The Texans are hard to score on, but if you get any kind of chance, man, you've got to do it tonight. You can't miss on these.
Well, it's funny. They're like 18 or 19 in the NFL in terms of red zone scoring, so not very good in the red zone. The caveat is they've only allowed like 29 red zone drives all year, fewest in the NFL. So you don't get down there a lot. That leads to my next point, though, in that field position is paramount here tonight. Whoever wins the field position battle is going to win this game. If you look at some of the games where Houston has allowed more than 20 points this year, and it doesn't happen often, it was because their opponents took advantage of short fields. So the Seahawks scored 27 points on Houston back in Week 7. Well, 17 of those points came on short fields. Similar deal in Week 10. The Jags scored 29 points on these guys. Well, 17 of those points took place on either short fields or special teams. Again, it's going to come down to field position tonight, especially with it being cold. We got to win that battle.
Well, defense and special teams, and you've got to get some 3 and outs. You've got to shift the field, even if you don't get a takeaway. But some takeaways would be nice.
That'd be great.
The Chiefs are near the bottom. Only 3 teams have fewer takeaways than the Chiefs. We saw last week when they got the early interception how excited we were. Pat got the ball at the 37-yard line, plus 37, and it makes all the difference in the world. So there's that. But one thing I talked about this week on my Minute with Mitch series was the special teams. We're usually at the top of all the 4 core special teams. We're not.
Yeah.
We're middle to bottom. And we've had the penalties we know, but we haven't had the explosive special teams play. Nico Remigio will not play tonight. That puts Brashard Smith on center stage on punt returns. But Nico's return in the playoff game here was huge. He ran the sideline right down by us and had a 63-yard return. What does it do? Give us a short field. Is that a block kick? Or Matt Ariza, if he can follow up with what he did last week. Matt, that's another reason, like, how did we lose that game? He put the punt at the 10, the 3, and the 4. That's Gerald Wilson or Dustin Colquitt or Tommy Townsend in his prime. You've got to take advantage of that. We got nothing out of those 3 punts. And so tonight you got to get down there. Special teams have to be pristine as well, both in the return game and coverage game.
Also need a bounce-back performance from our defense here tonight. Allowed a season-high 31 points last week against Dallas. Got to be better than that. Looking at this Houston offense, what stands out, and how can we slow these guys down here tonight?
Nico Collins is a 400-meter runner in the Olympics. That's what he looks like. He's a long strider. I've loved his game ever since he entered the NFL. He'll make the contested catch, but he also is just such a strider. And then I don't know how many Iowa State receivers you can have on a team, but they got 3. And then some local guys. Jalen Knoll, of course, is from Park Hill High School. But to me, the big difference in their team was Woody Marks, their rookie running back who finished at USC, but the bulk of his time was at Mississippi State. Very good receiver. He's got a 50-yard reception this year as a rookie. But he also, at Mississippi State, was their all-time leading receiver as a running back. But his ability to break tackles. I know he wears 27. He looks remarkably like a young J.K. Dobbins.
Yeah, he does.
Hard to tackle. And our guys have talked about him all week. You've got to tackle him. You've got to win the downs you need to win. But you can't let Woody Marks try to dictate this game.
Now, this is more than just a big game for the Chiefs, more than just Sunday Night Football. It's also our alumni game here tonight. Bill Moss is going in the Ring of Honor here in a couple hours, and I had a chance to catch up with Bill and see what this honor means to him. Take a listen. All right, down here with Bill Moss. Bill, big night for you tonight, going in the Ring of Honor. What's this all mean to you?
Where do you start, right? I mean, it's everything. Everything that this whole franchise was built on. Watching when I was a kid, the legends that built the Kansas City Chiefs here, going all the way back to the first Super Bowl, to have your name up alongside of those guys, man, that's a lot.
When you were a rookie back in 1984 and you looked up and saw the Ring of Honor for the first time, you ever think one day I can be up there?
You know what? It was something I always strived for, that's for sure, in the back of your mind. But I did when I flew in here my rookie year. John Alt and I were the first two first-round picks, and we were up on the third level, all the way up in the stadium. And they were doing a shot for the Kansas City Star, and all those names were in the background. I could see them. I remember that shot my rookie year and seeing those names and thinking, wow, you know. And you know what was really cool? That 1984 draft class put three of them up there, me, John, and Kevin Ross.
Wow. How cool is that?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Last question for you. You'll have friends and family here tonight, former teammates and alumni from across generations of Chiefs football all supporting you. What's that mean to you to share it with all of them?
Well, it's, to me, the honor is with them. Family, friends, teammates, I mean everybody from, you know, the trainers that got you ready to play every 7 days to the equipment managers that took care of everything that was out there for you so you could just concentrate on playing football. To my teammates that supported me and pushed you forward, and coaches, I mean, that's all of us together collectively to get there. So, and you're only as good as the people around you, man, and I've played with some great ones.
Bill, congratulations. Enjoy tonight, all right?
Thank you.
You deserve it.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
All right, great stuff there from Bill Moss. Always a pretty cool night, huh?
Well, I just saw Bill. You know, it was part of the ceremony upstairs. I said, Bill, how many snaps you got in you? We need you tonight, buddy. Can you put pressure on Stroud? We'll play the 3-4 like the old school, just a couple snaps to throw him off, and you got to get a swim move in there. But great to see him get inducted and representing that era. That era was actually a transitional era when Marty Schottenheimer took over as head coach, Carl Peterson general manager, because that took, for 20 years, no playoff appearances. And then Bill got the 86 playoff appearance, played great that year. It was the rookie of the year. But then kind of ushered in the Marty Schottenheimer era. So he had a bigger impact than maybe people think.
I think he can still play. My hand still hurts from that handshake at the end of the video. Like afterward, I'm like, man, guy's got a firm handshake. We have the inactives. Let's go over those really fast. Although you wanted to mention there's more Kansas City connections on this Houston team than maybe people might know about.
Well,
right?
the third quarterback is Graham Mertz from your high school, Blue Valley North. Led the Mustangs to their only state football title. But the guy that's really involved tonight is Arante Estrie. Remarkable story. Played at Ruskin High School on the Missouri side, homeless for a good portion of his time. He went through a lot, but kept his family going, went to Minnesota and thrived. He's left tackle. Yeah. He's been their left tackle for 11 games. And remember, they traded Laramie Tunsil in the offseason. Like, what? What are you doing with C.J. Stroud? Well, Estrie, a Kansas City kid. Ruskin is at left tackle tonight for the Texans.
Let's dive into the inactives. So no real surprises here. I think everyone kind of assumed these things, but the offensive line and how we're going to overcome this is the big story tonight because Juwan Taylor officially inactive tonight with the triceps injury. Josh Simmons, you won't see him on the inactives report. Well, that's because he's on injured reserve right now with that wrist injury. He'll be out a minimum of 4 games. So no Juwan Taylor, no Josh Simmons, and no Trey Smith. He was doubtful coming in with the ankle injury. He's not going to play here tonight. That means Jalen Moore and Wanye Morris at the tackle spots and Mike Caliendo at right guard.
Well, this is akin to going to the swim and diving competition, and when you dive from the high board, you're diving into piranha at the pool when you go in. That's what this is. This is piranha.
Is that an event? I didn't know that.
It is now.
Oh, yeah.
A new Olympic event, but not very many people survived it. But that's what you got with Wanye and you've got with Jalen. Now, the other thing that it affects that's least obvious is now you got Hunter Norzhead as your 6th man. Issa Pole's never played. He's going to be active tonight. So your offensive line there is nobody left. They can't get anybody hurt tonight, and they've got to hold in there and hang in there against this pass rush. But that goes back to play calls. That goes back to being precise. and that goes back to protection. You're going to have some max protection, and you've got to run the ball.
Yeah. We're also missing some guys on special teams that you alluded to. Not going to have Chris Roland Wallace here tonight with a back injury. He was placed on injured reserve earlier this week. And then Nico Remigio, you mentioned that. Seems like he got hurt on Friday with a concussion. I think that happened at practice. You mentioned Broussard Smith. You think he'll return punts here tonight?
Yeah, it could be a couple different guys, but I think they're going to give Broussard a start. But let's be honest. We've had 22 punt returns this year. Nico Remigio has 22 of them.
Yep.
So here we are at 6-6 with the game we got to have on Sunday night, December football, and you got a new dude returning punts. And the punter is Tommy Townsend of the Houston Texans. He's got a couple Super Bowl rings with us. So a challenging night in special teams, but hopefully Broussard can do that. We might even have a few surprises back there, so just stay tuned.
Well, sometimes the stories write themselves. How about a Broussard punt return touchdown tonight in his first game ever doing it?
I could be good. Or if we do a surprise move back there, who knows?
Okay.
So just, again, stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Looking at the Texans, the one that we were watching was corner Kamari Lassiter with a foot injury. He didn't practice most of this past week with that injury. He was limited on Friday, questionable coming in. It looks like he's active for this game. We'll see how effective he can be, though. He's a big part of this defense. He actually leads this team in defensive snaps. We'll see if that foot injury affects him at all.
And he's the only guy in the league that has twice had 2 tackles for a loss as a DB. All these guys. Petrie's got 3 picks. Stingley Jr. is the best zone defender in the league, only 22% against him. And then Kalen Bullock has been the best guy in the league for 2 years running on percentage of catches against him. He's a safety, but, man, the secondary, no weak. You always look for the runt pig. No runt pigs.
Not going to have Tim Settle tonight, though. We know how good this Houston defensive line is. He's a big part of it. Doesn't get talked about a lot, but he's 4th on this team in pressures. He was placed on injured reserve earlier this week, also with a foot injury. That does make a difference, I think.
Well, and again, you've got – so it's not just who you lose, it's who replaces them. And they've called up guys that may play tonight that have never played an NFL game. So we're talking about Wanye, and we're talking about Jalen, and we're talking about Hunter Norzad. They got the same deal going on when you look at some positions, and defensive line is one of those.
Well, here we go, Mitch. Won't be easy here tonight. It's going to be a challenge against these guys. They're playing good football right now. But I'm glad we're in prime time. I think that makes a difference, like being on Sunday Night Football. I think our guys rise to that challenge. And I'm glad we're back at home. The Chiefs have won each of their last 5 games here at home. So let's go ahead and make it 6 in a row here tonight. For Mitch Holthus, I'm Matt McMullen. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. Let's go get a victory.